UCE and UACE candidates and related activities as they prepare for their finals this very year. Let's have it.
The Ghana National Examinations Board hereby informs parents and candidates that the registration process for the 2023 examinations for all levels, that is primary leaving examinations, Uganda Certificate of Education, and Uganda Advanced Certificate of Education are underway. The normal registration period will go on until May 31st, 2023. For candidates who may miss registering during this time, a period has been set for the late registration, which attracts a surcharge. The surcharge for late registration from June 1st to 30th will be 100% for primary leaving examinations, 50% for both UCE and UACE candidates. The last phase of late registration will run from 1st July to 31st, 2023, attracting a surcharge of 100% at all levels. After July 31st, 2023, there will be no opportunity to register for candidates for the examination 2023. Registration fees. The registration fees for all the levels being maintained as below. PLOE 34,000 shillings, UCE 164,000 shillings, UACE 186,000 shillings. In the event of surcharges, the following will be the accruing charges. For PLOE, 100% will mean 68,000 shillings. For UCE, it will translate into the 50% will translate into 246,000. The UACE 50% will translate into 279,000. This will be between June 1st to 30th June. For July 1st to 31st, 100% for PLOE will remain 68,000. 100% will translate into 328,000, and 100% UACE will translate into 372,000. As it has always been the case, the government will pay the registration fees for all the candidates sponsored under any of the three universal education programs, that is universal primary education, universal secondary education, and universal post O-level education and training, famously known as UPOLET. Charging fees not prescribed by UNEB. According to the UNEB Act 2021, Section 33, it is an offense to charge fees not prescribed by UNEB and refer to such fees as UNEB fees. Heads of centers and school directors are therefore cautioned against calling any other administrative fees as UNEB fees. Such an offense attracts a penalty of 2,000 currency points, which translates into 40 million shillings, or a term of imprisonment not exceeding 10 years or both. Additionally, the person convicted shall pay back the amount that is not prescribed by UNEB to the concerned students or their parents. The board may also withdraw the examination center of the school. Where the person convicted is a registered teacher, the person shall also be disciplined under the relevant laws regulating the profession. Registering private candidates as government-sponsored candidates. Heads of government-aided schools are put on notice not to register privately sponsored candidates as government-sponsored candidates. This is a fraudulent practice that causes financial loss to government. Any head of an examination center or school director that will be found indulging in this practice shall pay thrice the amount that has been defrauded. Relevant laws on fraud will also be applied to such head teachers or directors. In addition, UNEB shall withdraw the examination center of the school.
When you get to look at some of these provisions within this latest release by UNEB, is that to the heads of government-aided schools, they have been put on notice and not to register privately sponsored candidates as government-sponsored candidates. I think this normally occurs. When you look at heads of schools, for example, head teachers that have students that are not into the registrar or the registry of government, for example, in the UCE. This normally happens in the UCE and UACE, where a candidate is supposed to sit for examinations, but is not under the universal secondary education, or use, and they are going to sit for their UCE. Now, what happens at times is that these head teachers or deputy, or rather director of studies in these different schools, tend to register them as government aided scholars. Now, according to Mike Masiche here, who's the Directorate of Examinations at the Uganda National Examinations Board, says that this is causing financial losses to the government. It is actually stretching the government's budget in regards to this. And any head of examination center or school director that will be found indulging in such, that is registering private students into the government-aided program, will face it rough. And of course, there are some relevant laws that will, on fraud, that will be applied on such occurrences in regards to this kind of it, because it does look like it's not only misappropriation of examination registration fees, but also trying to disorganize the Uganda to the universal secondary education system. Now, also, UNEB equally cautions heads of states or their representatives to ensure that all the UNEB registration fees are remitted to the board. We've got cases whereby students aren't accepted to sit for their examinations during their finals because they weren't registered, or because they paid money to their head teachers, but then the money wasn't received. And at the end of the day, it also affects their results, because at a time, you get to realize that examinations tend to, we tend to wait for examinations, and they are never released at the end of it all. And these are things that you need to quickly understand. But of course, UNEB has put in place a penalty of 40 million Ugandan shillings for anyone, an imprisonment of anyone out there in regards to what happens once they fail to meet these charges. Meanwhile now, we're heading on ground with Andrew Barija this morning in regards to the traffic updates to check and see what is happening and observe for us the atmosphere as it is happening. That is at around the Yogo. That is around the former game stores, that is around Chamber of the Rugby Club. And of course, there are traffic lights around there. That's where Andrew Barija is standing to give us more of the traffic flow observation.
Thank you very much, Jerome, and a very good morning. It's a Friday and it's a public holiday, it's Eid day. And of course, today we are right here at the Lugogo bypass traffic lights trying to observe the traffic atmosphere, just like the way it's transpiring just right here. And of course, according to the look of things, it seems to be a little bit, there is no jam actually. It's quite very free. And of course, we know that it being a public holiday, a majority of the people actually they are busy going to have the celebrations for Eid to make sure that actually everything goes on perfectly. But definitely those that are not Muslims perhaps just stayed home just to treat it as a public holiday. But according to the look of things, it all seems to be very, very, very fine. I mean, it's a very calm situation in here, and of course not so many vehicles. Public holidays, the public servants and every personnel that definitely all does business, and all even they could be even working for a private entity. Of course, they all decided to stay home, and of course that's the situation as we are trying to observe it right here. A very calm situation, and of course taking a look at way back there straight, and of course that's the Nakawa route connecting. That is all the way getting to town. You get to realize that it's quite a very free lane, not any congestion at all. So definitely, of course, I know there's some people that take advantage of such days when they know that people don't work. So they go, of course, and try to execute the businesses. So probably those are the few personnel that you could be seeing into the vehicles that are heading there. But you see, it's quite a free lane, and we don't even anticipate that in the later hours of the day the traffic jam will increase. According to the look of things, it's quite a little bit fair according to that. Now, of course, taking a look at the vehicles coming in or from Kampala connecting to the Jinja Road, it all seems to be quite clear. Yes, of course, vehicles held in quite a few intervals, about 3 to 5 minutes as always. With the traffic lights, sometimes it's about 3 minutes held in there. But you see, it's quite very, very empty. Not so many activity that are taking place just right here. And also on the sides of town, inclusive of the city center. And the situation we're seeing just right here at the Lugogo bypass traffic lights is what we are observing every junction around town. It's quite very free according to the look of things in here. And it seems to be quite very calm. So any person and you were planning to travel to town, probably today or any destination, it may not be necessarily town, regardless of whatever you use, the junction, you're probably coming from Tinder and you plan to go and execute businesses somewhere else. Well, it's quite very free and very efficient to look of things in there. Now taking a look straight at the Lugogo bypass, vehicles just connecting in there, personnel is going to execute different businesses. It's quite free, of course, not so many congestions as we are observing. It's quite a very free lane according to the look of things in here. Of course, a majority of the vehicles are private vehicles, just a few public, but of course they are still there. The taxis are there, but of course, according to the area where we are here, the Lugogo bypass, it's quite majority are private vehicles dominating the road, and quite, of course, a few border borders in there, inclusive of a few pedestrians that, of course, decided to have a walk all around this way. So that is what we are observing according to here. And of course, the nearby area here, the KFC there and the former ShopRite, not so many activity taking place just right there. Just very normal situation. That's according to the look of things here. Now this route connects all the way, that is to Kira Road Junction. Of course, the vehicles that are heading in that side. But you see, it's very free. So any person, you're coming in from areas like Bugolobi, you're coming in from areas like Nakawa, and you're probably planning to go to areas like Bukoto to execute business. It's quite a free lane, and it's going to be possible for you to achieve what you are achieving. So that is the situation as we are observing it. A very calm situation. No traffic officers, of course. It's the traffic lights in full control of the congestion. Not even any congestion. The traffic lights controlling the vehicles around this area to make sure that everything goes quite very efficient as planned and as foreseen in that way. Yes, so there is massive respect for the traffic lights. Unlike on other days when it's sort of a rush hour, when majority of the personnel are trying to go and execute the required businesses. But according to the look of things here, it's quite free. So any person, and your plan was probably, there are some people that don't want to walk during other days, congested days, but they always look up to such days to go and do personal shopping out there and also do other related activities, other businesses. So this is the right time for you, and most especially if you're planning to pass via this very junction. Of course, the Lugogo bypass traffic lights. Coming in from Nakawa, you're heading to town and you want to execute different businesses. It's quite very fair and free for you. it will be appropriate. It's a public holiday, and definitely majority are celebrating in all sectors, both public and the private. So that explains where we are in position to say this. And also, as earlier as I said, we don't really anticipate the jam to be there today. It's going to be free, yes, and the traffic is quite very calm. Traffic updates this morning. Andrew Barije, back to studio with Joram.
All right, of course, you can easily see that it's not as busy as you would expect it to be on a Friday morning, and more so when it is actually pouring in the morning. But besides that, Andrew was definitely giving you a little bit more of the traffic observation at the Lugogo bypass. That is around the Chadondo Rugby Club, around the Lugogo Cricket Oval. The traffic lights around there, you can easily see. For those who are coming in from Nakawa, Jinja, those who are actually heading to the sides of Lugogo, and everyone who's actually going to either Luzira, passing via the same area, you can easily see what is there. Now, still, it's a happy Eid day to all our Muslim brothers and sisters here from Smart24 Television. Well, after the break, we shall be returning with more business updates, including what is coming in from the East African perspective, as well as the international scene. Good morning.
Smart24